So the first 15 minutes are just, we're going to figure out how technology works. And
Fair
then
enough. Yeah, that's sort of like my life now, figuring out how technology works.
I do Zoom every day, but every time there's something happens.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's very true. Yes.
What fun.
Yeah.
And you are just pushing the envelope of technology. So you're probably pushing a
Exactly.
very heavy envelope.
Yes, it's taught me very, very much to embrace imperfection because there's pretty much always something that goes wrong,
Yeah.
inevitably. From small things to other actors getting kicked off Wi-Fi, or even myself. Where you're like, it's in the middle of the show.
So, um, thank you for talking to me. I don't know. So what I've been doing is, I found an incredible fulfillment in coaching entertainers and stuff like that. And, and then I've been just kind of searching and looking for more hope for people, because the three things the three things that I think entertainers need right now is, to a way to grow their fan base, to make more money, and to just get off their butts and stop feeling so depressed. um,
Yeah.
and because we're really looking at how out of control, like, I think the world is always out of control. It's always out to kill me, and in a million ways that I don't know about. But now we're facing that, and we have little fewer distractions from our lack of control and stuff. So,
Yeah.
a lot of entertainers are dealing with that right now. And, so I thought I would talk to people and try to understand, um, different people in positions of success. And even if it's a small corner of their career is successful, I want to know what's going on with them, and be able to share that with other people, and share that hope, and maybe some knowledge that they never way of thinking that they never thought of.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, no, it's true. Being able to pivot and go down a rabbit hole or a direction that you didn't expect to be going, and then finding that it is a joyful place to be, has kind of been what has happened in the last couple of years, I would say, for me.
Before you got Now you're a VR performer
Yeah,
and creator. And
yeah.
before that, what did you pivot from?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been a performer for, since I was a little kid. I just always enjoyed it, and I even when I tried to do other things, I would keep coming back to it. So it's sort of been a part of my life like forever. And moved to LA, and I want to say it's 1998. So I was here for a good long time. Tried my hand at producing some stuff as well, but the numbers of as far as trying to get any kind of a foothold in Los Angeles are pretty astounding, as I'm sure you know. Like, somebody gets submitted along with 3,000 other people for a co-star role just through a click of a mouse. So, it's the numbers are really pretty crazy. And when you don't have some specific special skill or a specific look, that's completely unique, it's a little hard to get over that threshold, that get past that gatekeeper, or somebody, or were born into it in some way. It's hard to network and find opportunities to perform in film and television. So I was trying to do that, but had in I think 2016 sort of ended up doing a lot of immersive theater in Los Angeles, which is that it's a little different in that you don't sit in a seat and watch a play. You're in the play with the audience, and the audience is sort of a actor in the scene with you. They don't know their lines and all that, but it's like a connection, and it's just
Love that.
what.
What's an example of one of those productions?
Sure. One of the most famous ones that I've been in is The Willows, which is like an immersive event that happens right next to the American Horror Story house. And you go to a party thinking you don't know why you're going to this party, but you find out it's the celebration of life for the son that has passed in the house. and it sort of devolves from there, and people get pulled off from into Conrad's room or over with Angela to do a seance in the basement. It's like all these different tracks that people end up going on to be a part of the scene, the show, and then they'll come back at the very end and go, oh my God, I was here and there. So it's a pretty incredible show. In fact, you can actually see it in virtual reality on the Amaze app if you have the appropriate headset that goes with the Amaze app. I don't think they're launched on all of them, but it was actually made into a virtual reality show. And it, along with several other of the major immersive theater companies I had worked with. So I was working a lot in immersive theater, and I had actually been cast in Model Land, which was Tyra Banks' huge opus in Santa Monica. Those huge, like, department store sized footprint, state of the art equipment. It was going to be an immersive wonderland for retail and for people who wanted to feel a part of being that glamorous life, and photos and like all that stuff. And at the same time as I got that, I also had seen some friends of mine on Facebook who had gotten cast in this thing called The Underpresents. Now this is at the very end of 2019, so we're talking like November-ish, right? End of October, beginning of November. And I reached out by email, blind email, to the person who was running Tender Claws, the studio that created The Underpresents. I'm like, I know half of those people in there. If you ever need any more actors, let me know.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, she emailed me back, and I was like, okay, I'll audition for that. And they kind of coincided at the same time. So I got both of them. I was training to do the virtual reality stuff, which I'd never done before. I wasn't much of a gamer. I mean, I had a little bit of experience when I was super young, but not really anything when I was older. So I was doing that at the same time as we were rehearsing Model Land. And when COVID hit, because Model Land is a real life experience, that all shut down. But The Underpresents, because it's virtual, that kept going. And then it grew. It not only they added a variety hour, so we were doing that. And then they decided that they wanted to help the actors more. Tender Claws is just an amazing company, and it's a mom and pop studio. It's really two people, a husband and wife team, and they're just delightful. And they gave us The Underpresents Tempest, which was about a 45-minute play of Shakespeare's The Tempest, loosely translated, and we would do it with up to 6 or 7 audience members who were in there to see it. And in this particular environment, the audience can't talk, but they can make like spells and magic, and we do all these different scenes, and we would transport them from world to world, and it was really magical, but kind of hard to explain. However, it won at the Rain Dance Film Festival because it had a 3-month run. It had a 3-month run that ended, and then they brought it back for Rain Dance, and it won the best narrative experience there. And The Underpresents, which is more like a sandbox kind of loosely devised theater, improvised theater kind of thing, that won best VR experience of the year with the VR awards, which was kind of cool. It was up for an Emmy for new technology, but it didn't get that, but it got nominated. It got a nod. And while I was doing those two shows, because they kind of ran simultaneously, and because of time zones and stuff, I was also able to do another show called Finding Pandora X in virtual reality. I had also blindly emailed someone who was running Double I Studios because I'd talked to not some actors, actually has a name. His name was Jonathan. Randomly I was listening to a podcast being recorded, and then afterwards we were chatting, and he was like, I'm a virtual reality actor. I'm like, I am too. What are you doing? And so he was like, I'm working with this company called Double I. So then I just looked it up, and I'm like, well, I'll email her. So I emailed her, and I said, if you're ever looking for actors, I have headsets. So I'm good. And she emailed back, and I got that gig and was one of the principals for Finding Pandora X that went to the Venice International Film Festival. Of course, I'm working from home and I'm doing shows for the Venice International Film Festival for jurors who are in Japan and other places from around the world. So it's like this whole global audience, which is incredible, the potential of VR and specifically theater in VR, because it's such a wonderful place for theater and live experiences, in my opinion. And it will only get better as it grows and the technology grows. And that actually won best immersive experience for the Venice Film Festival, which was also very exciting. Um, and then because I was doing Finding Pandora X, which was hosted on a social VR platform called VR Chat, a friend of mine came to see one of the productions and said, "Oh, you know, I've always wanted to do something in VR, and now I see that it's possible. And since Halloween is really kind of not going to be great this year, and it's his favorite holiday, he's like, I'm going to do a haunt for Halloween in VR." And he started doing that, and he got a writer on, and I was looking at what they were doing, and I said, okay, I'll come on as producer, and I'll help you guys with the actors and you know, scheduling and corralling and ticketing and all that stuff. So we ended up producing a play in VR for the Halloween season, and then we went on to do another one for the holiday season, which is running currently, called Krampusnacht. So this year has been so incredibly filled with highs, well, and the lows of the reality that we exist in. But I have never done anything so high visibly, so visible. So uh, so this was kind of an opportunity for me to try to raise my visibility, which I had never tried to do before. And during the Tempest, I reached out to a publicist who worked in theater, who I knew wasn't probably working very much. And so I asked if she would help me publicize me in the Tempest. Now I knew that they had, you know, their own publicist doing the, you know, the thing, but she helped me and showed me a little bit about how to publicize myself. And then I saw on Everything Immersive Facebook page that they were calling for global XR speakers. And I was like, okay, acting in VR, I'm submitting. And I'm like, they're never going to take that. They took that. And so I ended up for the first time presenting a talk about acting in VR, which I had never done before. So I ended up putting that together and doing that. And since then, I started just randomly putting myself out there through blind emails or reaching out to people through LinkedIn or Twitter and networking in that way, trying to find groups that are in XR or VR and talking to people. And I've been asked to do a lot of talks because nobody's really doing this. And there's not a lot of gatekeepers. So there's a lot of ability to reach out to people who are at the top of their field in this industry, and they're accessible and they will answer you, unlike, you know, film and TV, which is completely saturated. This is like, it's all the Wild West, tip of the spear stuff, and everybody can find their place in it and make stuff and push the envelope, because we don't even know where this could go right now.
And
Okay.
you're a star and you're winning awards all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty easy.
Yeah.
So
I
what,
would say,
what is
almost.
what what does it look like to act? Like, what is, when you're doing it, you're wearing a headset
Yep.
and you move, do you move around and it tracks your movement
Yes. So
and it
most
records your voice, or you're
yes.
performing live, right?
Live,
With,
yes, no,
okay.
yes. So it's not recording. I mean, you can record stuff if you want, but I don't record stuff.
Mhm.
It's the Quest headset, which is what we usually use. It has like little cameras around it, which track your hands. So most of the movement is your upper body, so your head and your hands, and you know, if you're looking up or down, the avatar will move to show that. The legs are not as connected, and they will kind of follow the body, you know, and will go into a walk cycle if you are moving forward or back with the joystick, or you're just walking forward and back. So you, unless you have full body tracking, it can't really control the lower half, and it moves very much like a puppet. So yeah, you've got this thing on your head and you're looking all around. 360 is a whole nother world. It can be Mount Olympus, where I was in Finding Pandora X. It can be the desert, where I was when I was doing the Underpresents. It can be a cave in Krampusnacht. And everywhere you look is filled with this. And then when you have somebody else who's there with you live, it's like they're there. Their presence is there, even though it's an avatar and it looks like a cartoon. You know that somebody's there and they're responding to you, and they're very present. So it's magical.
Got work and like big circus clown, and it's like you overexpress. Do you have to do that when you're doing this, or is it more natural?
I do find that yeah, using bigger gestures and moving all the time help to keep the avatar from looking like a puppet. You want to try to keep it moving all the time, and yeah, bigger gestures are more appropriate in that environment, and certainly depending on how far the audience is away from you. If you're very close to someone and you're talking to them intimately, your voice will also, I mean, you could even whisper because it goes right in their ear, because of the way audio works. You could even create those emotions and moments that are touching and meaningful just by coming a little bit closer to someone as it would be in real life.
And what's the audition process look like besides sending
Yeah.
an email, a single email?
The audition process for find so for the Underpresents, we went in to what was called the Hub at the time. This was pre-COVID. It was a house that they had rented with a bunch of empty rooms that the actors could go into and perform, because it was nice because there was a lot of space because you could walk around and stuff, move your arms in big ways. And we did. She asked us to do a make up a game show, and so we did a version of Simon Says or Mother May I, one of those two. And then they asked us to do some improving, because a lot of what the under was at the time was just interacting and improving with the players in the audience. It's hard to, because it's this intersection of games and theater, and it bends that definition. So it's hard to say exactly what it is, but yeah, that was basically it. And then we jumped into headset, made sure that I mean, some people have a little bit more of a tolerance, and some people have a little bit more sensitivity to being in headset. And we were testing that, the ability to move around with these controllers, which was frustrating, but eventually figured it out.
This I live for these Slumdog Millionaire moments where everything in my life comes together and can use I feel useful because of all my skills, you know? Do you what kind of skills or abilities or resources or wisdom do you think has helped you to excel in this new path for you?
I do
What's
believe
like
that a lot of it.
besides acting?
Yeah, well, the immersive theater that I was doing was very, very helpful because I had had experience with, not treating the audience as if they were in seats outside and having, to present. It's more interacting and then play as well, and allowing yourself to relax enough to be okay with moments of silence if there's nothing going on, or just be okay with what comes out of your mouth, and be okay with technology, right? So when the internet does decide to kick you off, or something's not working right, or something's glitching, that you have to deal with it, and you just have to embrace that imperfection, because that's been a big learning curve for me, because you want it to be just right and perfection and perfect before you let it out into the world, but it can be a little based in fear when you're so afraid to let it out into the world until it's perfect that you end up never letting it out into the world. So allowing it to be okay if it's not, if it, and expecting it, and then embracing those moments. And then I think too, my dance training, I have dance training in my background, and because of the avatars and the way they move, I adapted to that fairly quickly, and watched in the mirror to sort of figure out, okay, this looks good and that doesn't look good, and that helped a lot as well.
Is your this was the beginning of you being more visible, or like giving yourself the opportunity to be more visible? Do you think? Sorry if it's too intimate or whatever. Let me know. But do you think um, that your perfectionism, or your fear of, did that hold you back before?
I certainly think it has held me back in general. I think the
Mhm.
putting myself out there and being visible, and trying to raise my visibility, I didn't know how to before, or didn't seem possible. I still struggle with how to do it in the traditional sort of film and TV world. It feels like the gatekeepers are so impenetrable. But as far as this world goes, I've learned that, yeah, just writing an article and submitting it to medium.com or another company that might be interested in another, because they're always looking for material, and realizing, oh, that they need that material as much as I would like them to publish it. And so, putting that stuff down in the world words and then getting it out there. It's kind of how I was lucky enough to get an article in the American Theater magazine, and Lucy helped me with that as well, for getting that out. What it is that I'm is is it back?
Mm, There's a you said Lucy helped me with that,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I lost
Then they
you.
lost my internet. Yeah. Let's see. Well, there you are, in perfection again. Internet goes. Fine.
But now you have a chance to refine whatever you said in
Yes.
silence.
Yes. Yeah, no, Lucy helped me get my visibility out there and showed me that, these places need content to put in their websites, magazines, what have you. And a lot of them are going faster now, because then a lot of them aren't, physical publications. They're all websites. And then
Yeah,
I also got an article in the Backstage as well, which was really pretty awesome. Yeah,
that's
I went
great.
day. Yeah. And she got me a Spectrum One uh, TV spot, which is that cable channel that when you put on, for the first time you put on your TV, it always comes up on Spectrum One. If
Yeah,
you have Spectrum TV, it
yeah,
always comes on that. And so I had a person come out and interview me for The Tempest, which was great. But yeah,
that's
going
cool.
to all these XR meetings, meeting all of these people, they find out what I'm doing, and they're fascinating because not that many people are doing it. They're like, "Can we talk to you?" And I'm like, "Yes, love to talk to you. Yes, absolutely."
Like that, I think that would be a good last question. You said that these places need content, and I think that what you're doing is you're serving them by being public. You're helping them. You're helping the writers and the content creators with that. What do you, and I think that's, for me, that's the thing that gets over stage fright, and that's the thing that gets over writer's block, is instead of thinking about myself, thinking about how I can serve other people.
Mm.
What do you think these VR platforms, people that are looking for VR as audience members and producers of VR stuff, what do you think, what service do you think they need right now? What do you think actors or VR producers can provide right now for these people?
Well, more content. There's hardly any out there. It's so hard to make that leap mentally from how to create content for theater in real life, and then how to do that in virtual reality. It seems like such a far leap. And that's what Kara Benzing's Finding Pandora X taught us was that you don't have to leap that far to start creating theater in VR. In fact, the very easiest thing would be to go into something like alt space and use one of their stages that are already in one of the worlds that are already built, and then you just create a production right there. But even a step past that would be to sort of switch out your set constructor for a Unity developer, and your costume designer for somebody who can make avatars, and sometimes those are the same things. And then you can put something up on VR chat if you're wanting to give that a try. I mean, ideally, the having your own bespoke sort of application that you can put on the Oculus Store or put on Steam would be ideal, and you can control how the environment works if you can do that. But that's like a much longer process and a much more expensive process. Whereas being in alt space or one of the other social platforms is pretty accessible without even needing someone to build the world, that has world building tools in there that you can master pretty easily, or moving to something like VR chat, or and then doing something a little bit larger. But what I would say is what we need is a platform that's much more stable and easier to use for theater makers. So if somebody's making that, very amazing. And I think people probably are, but that's sort of our big dream, is to have more of a theater friendly platform that allows for productions.
We could use a better Zoom and a better Facebook. But
Right.
um, so if somebody wanted to, like, if somebody's an actor and they want to see something, they don't have a headset or anything, is there like a place to look at, just to find out if they would be, if this might be a fit for something they might want to pursue? Is there a good starting point, forums or something like that?
Yeah, the some of the stuff you don't have to see in VR. So like in VR chat, you can actually download it onto your Windows PC and see it in 2D. It's just not as magical. And there are a lot of people who are going into VR now that the price point is down so low. So at $300, you can get a headset and go into VR with the Oculus Quest to 64 gigabytes. So that I think will bring in a lot more audience. And then for them looking to become more involved in immersive, or sorry, not immersive, in VR productions, I mean, I would join a lot of the Facebook groups and look for different groups that are doing VR and XR, and start joining them and getting to know, who are the people that are doing work in VR. And there's not a lot of them, so it wouldn't take long to figure out who's doing work, and then just reaching out to them and talking to them. There's it's still in the growing stages, so there's a lot of.
Thank you. I had no idea about all this stuff. So thank you for talking and sharing this with, you're going to share, I'm going to try to share this with as many people as I can, and get people excited about what you're doing so they can follow you, and then also see, um, I don't know, see some other opportunities that they might not have thought of. This is really cool. Thank you for talking, Deidre.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.